currently 10:32 p.m. This is what I have so far. Of the Penguin from Batman. I primarily did this arm before. Dad and I went out today. Wait, this arm was after we went out today, and this one was before. And this is the arm from which I plan to draw in the umbrella, but at an angle so that some of the umbrella is visible at the front. These are some of the Sharpie markers I used at one point. For today's progress on the Penguin. I had plenty of coffee today, despite having limited supplies early on. I woke my dad up at around 7:15 in the morning. Since on most days, he tends to get up by that time, by 7. So I woke him up around 7:15 in the morning. And by touching his forehead with my thumb gently, since touch seems to never fail to wake a person up. And it's quiet. It turns out he didn't set an alarm. I later said sorry for waking him up. I think that was around 8 in the morning. After he got back up, after going back to bed, he made me some coffee using what he had left, which I think, from what I recall from what he told me, was enough to make a 6-cup pot. Of coffee. At some point later on today, I believe he went to either Aldi's, more likely, or Wegmans, and got a bag of ground coffee. The time from 1 to 2 p.m. was pretty much preparations for getting ready to go to the closed casket wake for one of his aunts. I didn't find out about this until about 12 to 12:40 p.m. after Dan and I went on the road so that we could go to his new house and I could help Dad transport some more stuff from his car to his bedroom of his new house. It was something that probably took 15 minutes max, including the drive there and helping with bringing the stuff from the car to the big room that's intended to be his new bedroom. It's at this point that before Dan and I left for that, I finished the left arm. This is how I tell left from right. If with your hand you're able to make a forward L, it's left. I made the left arm sleeve before Dad and I left so I could help carry stuff into his new house. And then Dad and I went to the Lakeview Haven Family Restaurant, where I stacked half and halves for old time's sake. I had some difficulty stacking the last one on top, because some of them had a surface that was a little uneven. But then I succeeded through first stacking the ones with even surfaces. And then for the last one, I simply had to correct the lean by making some of the half and halves off center from the one below it. While I made preparations to upload the July 19 My Dinner video, I had the restaurant's Country Benny, as it's called, but it's actually a Country Eggs Benedict with home fries. Dad put on some red hot Tabasco sauce. He gave me some of his toast with jelly, some home fries, a bite of his omelet. That was pretty nice of him. I had about 2 cups of coffee total while I was at that diner. After I had some coffee, earlier at the apartment, then Dad and I went back to the apartment. We were there from 12 to maybe about 2 p.m. And then we went over to Mom's place so I could get dressed in some nicer clothes for the wake. Dress, socks, and shoes. A dark gray t-shirt. And a pair of dress pants that was a little too big for me. So it had a tendency of falling down on me. Dad tried to put a belt on me to fix that, but the belt ended up being too small. So we went over to his parents' place for 2 purposes. First, to give his parents the 5th Leprechaun drawing so that they could give it to the aunt who asked / commissioned that leprechaun drawing. And then Grandma tied a length of shoelace-like string around my pants and then tied it in the front in an effort to keep my pants from sliding down. It helped initially, but after I sat down, it stretched out the string and made the pants again have a tendency to slide down. I think in the end, at best, it only helped slightly. Once there, at Grandma's place, I was on my phone quite a bit because there were points in which I struggled to stay awake as I was sitting. That wasn't a problem at the wake, since the whole time I stood and walked around and made small talk with all the members of Dad's family that came to the wake. I got to meet members of Dad's family that I hadn't seen in a long time and that I had never seen before. Gave them my name, shook hands, asked if they were all right, how they were doing more often. I think in total we were at the wake for maybe an hour, from roughly 4 to 5 p.m. It started at 4 p.m. sharp. We got there about 4:07 p.m. We left around 5:15 p.m. The whole building / funeral home where the wake was set up pretty well. There were some flowers on the wood casket. Because of the nature of this kind of event, I assumed that everyone there was some member of Dad's side of the family. Though at one point, during efforts to be friendly and interact with people through small talk at the wake, I waved or extended my hand as an invitation for a handshake. To an older man, since that had been what had been happening throughout the wake. Hey, he didn't know me and I didn't know him. That ended up being the case for some of the family members I interacted with, since they were part of Dad's extended family. Well, we both said as such and shook hands. After the older man approached me. After I waved at him / extended my hand. It turns out he's a next door neighbor. There were some pictures laid out for me to view. Which I incidentally ended up viewing, although I didn't view them that hard because I was more focused on meet and greeting with members of Dad's extended family. If I recall, I did some of the right arm of the penguin after Dan and I got back from that diner and before we left for the wake, and then finished it after we got back from the wake. By which point I was pretty much, maybe not exhausted, but if I laid on my mattress in the spare room, for a few minutes, I could quite easily fall asleep. And I think that's what ended up happening I believe I was asleep from 6 to 8 p.m. and it's 11:02 p.m. now. The new family members I met for the first time were what Dad refers to as my second cousins. A major thing that I took away from attending the wake was that ultimately your time is limited. So whatever you want to do, you've got to work towards it with a sense of urgency. Because you never know how much time you ultimately have.